I'm Alexia James, a brand strategist hailing from Trinidad and Tobago but residing in Jamaica. And today I'm going to be diving into how you, the creator, can monetize your brand in Web3 and beyond with just a few steps. So let's get started. Firstly, we're going to jump into how to get brands to sponsor or partner on your projects. So similarly to how you may get approached to do commissions or businesses, brands get approached the same way. So presentation is important for separating yourself and standing out amongst the crowd. So it's always important to have a deck or portfolio that displays your work and your capabilities as clearly and concisely as possible. So that way you'll be able to showcase what you're doing and brands are able to just quickly pick up on what you're asking and how they can be involved. In terms of getting your foot in the door, utilize social media as your sounding board for your work to not only broadcast and showcase your work, but also bring possible clients to you by having these general public touch points for people to interact with you, your projects, your brand, or your business. Now that you understand some of the fundamentals about how to approach a brand, we're going to talk about how to understand what brands or businesses are trying to achieve. Because even though this session is all about helping you secure the bag, business relationships are not one-sided, but mutually beneficial. Thus, it's super important to do your research in terms of what these brands have for key campaigns, initiatives you may find online that might help bolster or amplify their campaign. This makes you acutely more interesting to a brand or partnerships manager on the other side of your email because you've done the work and research in terms of who they are and what they are trying to achieve. Now for the next point, data. I know as creators or just people who are creative in general, you're always thinking about the visual component or just your business model, but you cannot forget the data. This is probably going to be your biggest selling point when approaching brands. Because remember, any partnership or sponsorship you're looking for, it's an investment, and these brands are looking for how this would come back to them in terms of ROI, which is return on investment. So utilizing data to bolster what you're doing, what goals you're achieving, what you're actually doing through these projects, through your work, through your arts, etc. is super important when approaching a brand. So this main thing, which I really want everybody to remember, is how do you utilize data to bolster what you're doing and just making the investment that you're looking for brands more valuable and putting back into what they are also doing. So now I want to talk about monetizing via ads, because having something that's great and creative in terms of outputs is wonderful, but it doesn't matter if nobody is seeing it. Thus, understanding how to utilize ads to push whatever campaign or project that you're doing with these brands is also another great selling point to go to them when looking for monetization or sponsorship on projects, because that means you could now look at targeting their specific audience segments or customer bases with call to actions such as shop now, learn more. That's all tying back to their websites and their bottom line sales. Now we're on to our last point, which is being your client's expert on what you're providing. The world of Web3 and the overall ecosystem is still very new, so it's important to be kind of like that liaison or consultant for the brand that you're working with, for them to make sure that they understand the space and you're able to answer all the questions that they have and provide all the information that they need. This allows the experience to be a lot more amicable in terms of bringing them to this new space, this new venture, this new space of innovation, but also turning your work from just being something cool to now having impeccable service for them as an entity. I know we covered a lot, but I just want to leave you with 4 main points before we go. Number 1, KPIs matter. You can be doing the coolest thing in the world, but if it's not tying back to a brand or company's key objectives or goals, how is it really helping them? Always remember to think about a call to action when partnering with a brand. Number 2, your why matters. Remember, it's not just about what they can do for you, but what you can do for them. When creating a collaboration, always come from a perspective of a mutually beneficial relationship where you provide the best and create an experience that only you can provide. Number 3, create value. Look at your work as creating key value through your creative expertise by how you put together your visual components that ties back to the entity that you're trying to partner with. And number 4, be a pleasure to work with. This is probably the most important point. But when you're a pleasure to work with, people will come back to you again and again, be an advocate for your brand, and refer you to other people. This may go without saying, but being timely with email responses, collaborating, just being eager to work and show up is just so important. Because when you're a pleasure to work with, people will want to work with you after that, and again and again. So remember, KPIs matter, your why matters, create value, and be a pleasure to work with. Thank you so much for tuning into my lightning chat today. And remember to stay tuned for all the other segments at the Women in Tech Conference 2022.